Welcome back to Hermitcraft Season 10, this is episode 25, and I just wanted to start off this Hermitcraft episode by saying thank you ever so much for the incredibly positive response that I've received for my iron shop. Lots of people seem to really like this thing, and some of the hermits have been liking this thing as well. Oh look, Cub's had a shave, and he's had his BBL removed. Today's Hermitcraft episode is going to be all about Magic Mountain Row, and to start things off, we're actually going to get some inspiration from a previous Hermitcraft season. It is time for us to go to Hermitcraft Season 6. Okay, the world is loading in. I am over there. Yeah, there's my base. Okay, it's both bigger and smaller than I remembered. Bologna is looking pretty cool. The terraforming that Scar did down here is so ridiculously awesome. What a cool way to do a landscape. Oh, and there's the Lost City over here. I forgot about this. I think I was accidentally really smart when building these mega structures because the majority of this build is air. Like the blocks placed to impressiveness ratio is incredibly high. Anyway, the main reason why I'm here is because I want to check out these builds down at the bottom. I'm looking for inspiration for our laboratory that's going on Magic Mountain Row. And I think something like this looks pretty cool. This is a nice shape. This one's kind of weird, but in a quite interesting way. I think these are the ones that I built later into the season, and I mean that's a little bit too brainy, but I kind of like the way that we have these wobbly edges here. Yeah, okay, I think I have something to work from. Let's whip out the iPad and get some concept art going. And this was actually a really interesting experience for me because obviously I'm returning to a style that I have done for many, many years. These kind of big, geometric, repeating pattern builds with very little block variation. They look super clean. They're like noise-free. And then I'm trying to bring that into where I've gradually shifted to over the past few years, where I want a lot more detail, a lot more storytelling, and I want the builds to feel like they're lived in, they're alive, they've existed in a world for a certain length of time. And I've achieved that by keeping the structure kind of similar to Hermitcraft Season 6 build, but then adding in all of the realism elements, all of the things that actually make the building function as a building. Things like vents and wiring and guttering and signs and stuff on the roof and little bits of stainage from over the years. And I really, really like this. So let's start building it on the Hermitcraft server. This is the spot where it's going, and it also makes its way up the back here as well. So both of these are earmarked as being laboratory structures. I would be very surprised if I had any of the building blocks required to build this. These definitely don't fit in with a lot of the block palettes that I've been working with. Whoa, why does my nether look like this? Okay, so we've got a bunch of white concrete. We also have a bunch of cyan terracotta. That was close. So now I'm just going to build out the bare framework. This is going to look like a Season 6 build. I'm starting to think that maybe Iskal was right. This is stupid. Apologies for the English weather. This is roughly the size I think that I'm going to make this first part. Oh gosh, Jeff just locked in. And not only have I stolen his helicopter, but also I stole from his shop the other day. Yeah, I would say that's good. I love how close-knit this whole place looks. Like, it looks really, really tight. Oh dear, but I have now just run out of terracotta and fireworks. I don't know if it's because we spent the start of this episode in Hermitcraft Season 6, but now that I'm in the Mesa, I'm just thinking of Hermitcraft Season 4. Right, I would say our bottom terracotta outline is done. I'm not sure this is going to stay as one height. Obviously, we've only got one part of the concept art. I kind of did it just to illustrate a vibe, and that's about it. It looks sort of weird, but that's because there's so much other stuff going on over here that obviously just a blank face of one block is gonna look weird. I just want it known that I am absolutely riddled with doubt at this point in time. Riddled with it. Absolutely riddled with it. Oh my goodness. I'm honestly finding it hard to record at this point in time because I have such little faith. My heart says it will work out, okay? But equally, oh gosh. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Okay, I'm getting rid of the mismatched sizing of the concrete. I'm also 99% certain that I'm not even going to use concrete as it is just so white and textureless. Probably going to go back to using mushroom blocks and bone and things. To be honest, I'm not even sure I'm going to end up using cyan terracotta. We'll see. Okay, I've come up with a slight modification to the plan. So the science laboratory is kind of going to be split into two separate buildings, or I guess three separate buildings because we've got this one to go as well. So we've got the main sort of consultation room, and then this is going to be data storage and also fueling storage. And then this here is going to be the main data center for the laboratory. We've got a long way to go before this looks good, but now I'm feeling a little bit more hopeful. So I decided to hop off the server and design a little poster for this company. So the laboratory is run by a company called Mind, and I have to say, it took me a very long time to design something so corporate and so safe. Like, all of the colors are just the most corporate looking colors, all of the shapes, rounded circles and things like that. It was kind of fun, but also mildly soul destroying, and I think that fits in perfectly with what this science laboratory is all about. I've also done a quick check, and the logo actually works well for Minecraft maps, so that might come in the future. Immediately, this looks 1,000 times cooler. I'm starting to get excited now. Okay, this looks interesting. I have no idea if this is going to work. It definitely feels like it's not going to work. What about if I do it down here? I'm assuming this will be fine? No? Maybe if it's on dirt? Yes. Okay, I do have something with silk touch. Yes, I do. Okay, I think I found the strategy. Is to leave the outer edge in place, but then you can still grow the big mushrooms. You're also protected from ghasts this way. It's perfect. Whoa, look at the size of this one. Yes, the hope is coming back. The hope is coming back. I'm getting excited for this build now because it's so interesting to me to see something that looks like something I would have built years ago, but shifted. Okay, now I'm going to start adding in all of the roof vents and things. I'm just going to goof around for a sec and just chuck a few things in and see what sticks. I'm not entirely sure that my ideas are good, but I'm having fun coming up with them regardless. Okay, kind of cool. I would say, though, they definitely look like they've just been plonked on top of an existing build, which is the case. I understand that is what's happened. I think if I make adjustments to the shading of these white areas and then also make big adjustments to the shading with the cyan terracotta, that's where I think the big wins are going to start coming in. If I was to describe my current faith level, I would say earlier on it was like 1%, whereas now it's up at maybe 52, maybe 60. If I were to rank these blocks in luminosity, it would go something like this, right? Or maybe... yeah. But I think also the textures matching up is arguably more important. So I actually think this is nicer. Cool. Very cool. Come up with a weird idea. So I'm going to be honest, this is a wild one. Didn't really foresee this, but I think it has potential to be cool. I kind of don't hate it. It does look like quite a lot's going on, but I think it fits in quite nicely. I'll think about it. I'll think about that one. The big thing that I really want to get built, actually on this side, I think, are the waste pipes coming out. Now, for me, these strike me as being made of copper, and I haven't quite decided if I want it to be oxidized copper just yet. I think I probably do. I think oxidized copper is probably one of the coolest looking blocks in the game. Or maybe if we want it to be really fancy, we can have it be non-oxidized where there's not much water and then it gradually goes green at the end. Because that's what taps and things do in real life, right? Right, okay, this has gone pretty perfectly. So we've got our first tap in place. Now, does the water actually run out properly? I mean, that's a very good start. It has. I honestly don't know what sort of surprise I was expecting there. Yes. Okay. Nice. All right. Let's get the other one installed. I really like this because it connects the bottom to the top. This is good. I've also come up with a really, really silly idea to sell this even more, and I'm extremely excited to build it. I think it's time for a hope level update. I would say with the addition of these pipes, I am now up to 63%, I would say. I definitely feel like, although this build doesn't quite fully fit in just yet, it is pretty much there. I would also say it's now almost unrecognizable from the Hermitcraft Season 6 inspirations that actually started this thing, which is kind of interesting. Now, one thing I did want to add is advertising billboards. So this is going to be going on the back side of the build. It's kind of on the side of my base, and I'll be honest, I'm miles out my comfort zone here. I have no clue what I'm doing. And obviously the M represents mind, but it also could represent Mumbo as well. It's got the double meaning. I'm taking some pretty strong inspiration from my neighbors here. Joel has got some fantastic billboard. This one is pretty excellent as well. The build is now in, and I haven't really seen it from a wide just yet. I've only really seen it from up close, and I think it looks cool like this. But in terms of being in context with the rest of the build, okay, that actually kind of looks quite interesting. Definitely needs more underneath it. That's fine. There's still lots of work to do on the structural stuff underneath. It also looks pretty cool from the side. That's actually helped things a little bit. Yeah, I actually think that looks interesting, especially when this oxidizes up. Or do we want it to not match up with the pipes? That is the only thing, is that it matches up with the pipes. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like the copperiness of the pipes, so I think I will allow the bottoms to oxidize a little bit, but the rest of them will stay pure copper. I think this, though, this can go fully teal. Now that it's getting darker, the lights above, really nice touch. Now, I thought I'd also add a handful of posters that have kind of been stuck on the side of the laboratory here. Now, my idea is that these are actually placed by the members of Magic Mountain Row. I like to think they're little promotional posters for things like Woolly's Woodyard and Big Ron's and Safe Storage. And I think they add a small pop of color to what is a fairly monochrome build. So now let's move on to the area underneath our laboratory. And at this point, my brain had slowed down enough that I thought it was best that I switch over to doing a time lapse because I was just mumbling to myself in a very unentertaining fashion. It's really interesting with these sorts of builds how much bigger the mental load is with them. You know, with builds like from Hermitcraft Season 6, a lot of them are sort of single block or two block structures, and you're essentially filling out a space as opposed to making decisions with every block. So you can kind of build fairly mindlessly. Whereas with these builds, I'm having to think about every block. I'm having to make creative choices with every block that I place, which is so incredibly fun. But it is also a bit knackering. So I actually really enjoyed this opportunity to mix things up and do something a tiny bit mindless for the time being. All I had to do was just gather a bunch of wheat, that is just holding down the left click button, and then I had to replant all the wheat, that's holding down the right click button, and then I had to till all the soil, once again, holding down the right click button. A little bit more thought required though on that, because I did also have to place some water, so, you know, it wasn't perfect, and then it's just hold down the right click button with the seeds, and then wait. I have spent the night in this hole. I am very excited to see what our wheat field now looks like. Yes! Those guys are trampling my wheat! Why are you here? What are you doing? Stop! That's really upsetting. Oh, it does look good, doesn't it? That does look pretty... They're really trampling it! Oh my goodness! Look at all those missing crops! What on earth? I'm going to try and think of a few more things that I can add to break up the single texture of this. I like the hay bales. They look really, really cool. Actually, I like this tree. Even though it's not even a custom tree, I just quite like it. Maybe one or two freestanding trees. A scarecrow would be nice. Tractor. A combine. Maybe it's mid-harvest. Regardless, I have a cool idea for this. This is definitely my first time gathering this stuff, and oh no, my suspicions have been confirmed. I need a Silk Touch pickaxe, and I don't have one. I've been using Impulse's pickaxe and also Impulse's Elytra ever since I died to the TNT machine that he built. I'm very much an if it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of guy, but now I need to actually get one. Oh no! Double oh no! A no efficiency pickaxe. This late into the season, I'm embarrassed. I would say I've almost got everything that I need, and now I do have everything I need. The toxic waste problem. I absolutely love the idea that this scientific research facility is pumping out some unknown fluid that they promise is harmless, but is gradually mutating all of the local crops. Oh gosh, this is a bit nerve-wracking. Yes. Oh, if that had flooded the entire thing. I think it makes sense that it predominantly travels downhill, as if the toxic waste is kind of seeping into the dirt, going down this landscape here. How's it looking? How's it looking? That's looking pretty good. I think it needs to go a little bit further, and maybe be a bit more erratic as well, like there should be offshoots. Also, I guess it probably shouldn't go immediately to wheat. Maybe it goes to something like mud, so there's like a little border around it where nothing can survive, but it's also not completely toxic. Yeah, I would say that's great, because I still want to keep lots of wheat, but I just want it to be subtle. And then if I use this combination of blocks for all the border around it, and then maybe even trample some of this tilled soil, I think that's perfect. Nice, this is feeling good. Okay, let's start getting some of the details in. And I think, again, we should... Oh, can I not? Have I been stupid? Oh, okay, so I can place them on mud. Oh, that does affect things somewhat. I mean, what does it look like if we just have them on the mud, maybe just around this area here? We probably can't have too many of them then. Maybe we just keep them to the borders? Like, maybe they're in this area here, and then we have a bunch of the warped stuff nearer the water. Does that make sense? Like, we add in the twirly things. They could be the main cursed plant. How does this feel? I mean, it feels pretty good on the ground. How does it look from above? That looks really funny. Okay. This is so stupid. But I actually think that's working well. I almost think there needs to be smoke rising up from the ground. Campfires are stupid expensive. I have a newfound respect for Grian's barge. Nice, okay. The smoke seems to be pretty unhindered by that slab. This is excellent. I cannot tell you how much fun I am having with this. This is the best. That has gone flawlessly. That is so cool. Oh, I am chuffed. I'm absolutely chuffed with that. That is great. Honestly, I have the widest smile on my face. I'm so glad that this idea has worked out. Part of my inspiration for this entire build when I was doing the concept art, as soon as I drew out that pipe, and I absolutely cannot wait to build up all of the farming stuff, things like storage silos and the farm build, but that is definitely another project for another day. The other project that's for another day is the industrial district that's definitely going to be going over here. I'm very excited about that as well. Now let's start work on the next build. At this point, I thought it'd be good to fly around the server quickly just for a little bit of inspiration. That is ridiculously cool. This whole thing is ridiculously cool. Ren's base is very cool. This is what I was coming for. So you saw in the previous Hermitcraft episode, I was talking about how great these things are. They are awesome. I love this. I love the storage of the skulk. I think it's awesome. I think I might pinch part of this for the roof of my other laboratory building. Or maybe I could do those gas canister things. You know those giant structures that rise or fall depending on gas level? That could be tricky in such a small space. Would probably also make it look more like a factory. This is something I've got to work out in a creative mode testing world. What do you think of this? This is pretty space age. This is pretty futuristic. Do I think it actually fits in? I think the amount that's going on with it means it does fit in with the builds in the area. It is definitely just like a change of tone, but I think the contrast of tones is really interesting. There's almost like a Stranger Things element to this small town having this curious research facility at the end of the road. Okay, I've been fiddling about with the idea of wiring. I know I've seen a lot of people doing telephone poles and things like that around Magic Mountain and on the Hermitcraft server. So I thought I would try and adopt that a little bit. And I think to some level of success. I really like that. Yeah, I really like this. I do like this. I was kind of considering just having two of these, but I actually think the two separate modules with the little satellite dishes, whatever you want to call these things, I like it. I also find it incredibly satisfying how these walls go into the crafters. They look like they are like a redstone component. Like these two things combined look like they're a single component. I love that. Yeah, I would say this has gone remarkably well. I went from having not much hope to having hope. Again, that's the second time in this episode that that's happened. So let's get this constructed on the Hermitcraft server. So I've just gathered up the majority of the resources that I need to build this thing, and I'm hoping I have enough space and haven't miscalculated, because I'm now very emotionally tied to this design and I really want to build it. Oh mate, it happens to the best of us. I kind of want to try out using the amber frog lights for this. Not because these are the only frog lights that I have, although that is the case, but because a lot of this build leans into the cyan-ness, and I think adding a tiny bit of warmth in a small detail could maybe make it look a little bit less cold. Because this scientific research facility, we don't know if it's evil yet. Okay, I was a little bit concerned that this would be the same height as the bank. It is the same height as the bank. Does that make things look weird? Okay, so here's the thing. I do think this looks a tiny bit tall if we were to take in the full composition of this town. I think this looks a little bit too big right now. But I think if we acknowledge that builds are also going to go up like this, and I'm probably going to actually kind of do them like that, then I think it will all balance out. Look how weird this crafting bench looks. Whoa, it's all the way over there. Gosh, these are still so ridiculously cool. Skulk is also ridiculously cool, and it sounds amazing when you place it. Also kind of awful, but mainly amazing. The unoxidized trapdoors strike again. You know what? I'm not actually mad at them. So our first skulk storage... Do you know how many times I've tried to say this? Our first skulk storage container is now done, so now I'm going to move on to the satellite dishes. I almost stuttered on satellite dish then. That would have ended me. This means I've got a very expensive purchase to make. 1 diamond block for 32 of these. Oof. Okay. I am, however, one purchase away from getting myself a copper golem, and that is very exciting. I don't know why. I'm a little bit nervous for this build, just because it's a lot of air and could be busy. I'm so curious what it looks like from the front. It looks... I'd say it looks pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hidden behind this, so you only really start to see the satellite dishes from here. Is the black glass actually any good? Or does it look too transparent? I'll have a think about that one. I personally think they look pretty good, but also I do acknowledge that they maybe don't look that structurally sound. Anyway, now it's time for me to do all of the wiring, and by that I mean building wiring. It's still strange for me. You know, I'm still a predominantly a redstone guy, I think, maybe, and referring to chains as wiring. Gosh, I mean, I'm using levers for decoration, for goodness sakes. So with these two top ornaments all done and dusted and looking really, really cool and really interesting, now we need to actually work on the big cyan slab that is this. I don't really have a plan. So this is going to be interesting. Like, I'm not entirely sure what to do with this side. I'm not entirely sure what to do with the front-facing side. I mean, I guess this probably should be like some form of entrance or something. There should be some way to get into these places. And I also need to work out some way to connect these up. Maybe this could just be like a pipeline connection. We still have this to do as well. Goodness gracious. So I spent some time thinking really, really hard. But that didn't work, so I've decided to stop thinking and just start placing blocks and see what happens. Okay. I just want to be clear. I think this is a bad idea, but I think it's a bad idea worth exploring. It's the inside that I'm really curious about. Is it too much to have fully exposed frog lights on the inside? I think it probably is. Yeah, it doesn't look quite right. Like it just doesn't look right, does it? It's way too big. Way too big. Even with the iron pressure plates that I've put over here, it just feels way too uniform. I know I could add some diorite and things into this mix, but I don't think that's going to fix things. I think I'm actually going to lean into the darker colors here for the simple fact that this build is also very white and very quartzy, and things are starting to blend in a little bit where we get a bunch of builds with similar block palettes, or at least similar focal blocks all stacked up in one place. Oh no, oh no, oh no! Notch, why did you get the pig wrong? I tell you what, team, I am struggling. I am absolutely struggling right now. Oh, I just can't come up with a single good idea. I'm trying to think of something that will diminish the prominence of the bottom part of this build while still looking cool. I think having them connected up in some way looks kind of nice. Maybe I'll drop this one down to the ground so then we can get all three in place. Where are these zombie sounds coming from? He's here. He's in this gap. Is what I'm doing interesting? Is that interesting? I mean, I think it is. Another Minecraft day has passed. At this point, my creative juices were running pretty low, so I decided to play in silence for a few hours. I seem to be spending a decent chunk of my life at the minute just emerging from holes that I've created for myself. I wanted my copper to age, and okay, I actually think this building looks really cool. The first impressions are positive, but I've got some de-aging to do of the copper, and then I want to wax it so it stays in the right state. I actually have to do that with the bank as well. This is such a painfully slow process. I would actually love it if you could throw copper into a cauldron and it would like speedily age it, and then you could also then just throw it into a cauldron of honey. and then it waxes it. Like, how funny would that be? So you could just like throw a stack of trapdoors into a cauldron and they would all age at the same rate, and then you could take them out in the phase that you want them to be in and then wax them all in bulk as well. I think this is genius. Or at least let me just right click on them with the honey. That would be considerably quicker. Almost there on the waxing front. Don't mind me just buying stuff from people's random shulker boxes again. My goodness. Does this whole place look cool now? So this is sort of like the ground view. This is from the town. You can see it mixes in nicely with the rest of the build. It connects up. It looks pretty cool. I like the block palette. I think I've done my best to work within a fairly limited block palette here, and I think it's come together well. I think the light colors up top actually draw your eye upwards, which is good. They're meant to be the focal point, and also all of this no longer blends in with the bank, which I think is a massive win. The bank also looks considerably better with its slightly more orangey copper. Now, if we take a look at this build from above, I just think it fits in really nicely. Even the angle as we're flying in from this side, which is not an angle that I ever think about with this build. Like, this whole thing, I've never even thought about it. But this is actually how a lot of people will first see my base. I think it looks really good. Obviously, the backs of all this stuff looks really interesting. But then I've done my best to also add in a whole bunch of vents and extra wiring and even a little extractor fan out the back here, which I really try my best on. Like, there's a bunch of looms back there, and then there's iron bars, and then there's the fan itself. I think all of those things combined actually create quite a convincing fan. It looks really interesting. I like that we catch the edge of the pipes here. These pipes look cool with their variable copper. I think the build as a whole has a nice composition. It finishes off the street nicely. It has the same vibe of sort of crampedness and compactness. It has an ocelot, apparently. I don't know where he's come from. Yeah, I'm really, really pleased with this. This has been so fun. Ridiculously cool. Oh, I just dropped out the sky. Now, at this point, I was planning on ending the episode, but I was just flying through Impulse's area here. And this building is like bang on the nose, the sort of style that I'm loving. This is... Oh, this is so cool. How did I not notice this sooner? There is a lot to like about this. There is so much to like about this. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is pretty obscene. Oh, look at that fan. I'm a fan of the fan. Okay. This is really, really cool. We do still technically have one building left to do on the laboratory. I wasn't going to do it today. But seeing this, oh, it's just got me psyched to try and just try. This is what I love about the Hermitcraft server, right? The Hermitcraft server is full of so many uniquely talented people who are talented in so many different ways that if you're ever struggling for inspiration, you can just fly around the server. It's like the best mood board that has ever existed ever. It's like if you were an artist and then your neighbor was Picasso and down the street was Dali and then you had Monet at the end of the road. Keith Haring was your uncle. Yayoi Kusama is your aunt. And you could just pop around to all of these places for inspiration. I was going to stop, but I'm continuing. I don't even really have any form of plan at this point in time. I did have in my head that this would be some form of data center. This is almost like where the server racks are stored. I'm just going to fiddle around quickly in a creative mode testing world and just see what comes out because I kind of have a rough idea. Oh my goodness, I'm actually surrounded by Hermitcraft Season 6 builds. I am making painfully expensive design choices. I am not mad at this. This is a cool start. I don't know how laggy this will be. It's a lot of lighting updates. But I do think it looks really good. I have totally stolen this from Impulse's and B-Dub's build. I just think it's the coolest detail ever. I also like that this middle one is accidentally just doing something completely different. I think that's worked out really nicely. So I think I've got enough basic ideas to work from here. Now let's get to work on building. I don't know why. I'm nervous. Every single time I start a new build, I get nervous. It's so strange. I think it's just because I care a lot about how it turns out and I really want it to be good. How does this look height-wise? That is probably about right. It might even need to be a tiny bit taller, you know? I'm just starting to realize how many copper bulbs I'm going to need to buy from Exuma now. Yeah, okay, that looks pretty good. Although I have aligned it with the path. And the path is slightly off-centered from the build. Does it actually make more sense that we step this over by 1 block so then it's closer to the lab than it is to the bank? I think it does. I refuse to make it 3 blocks wide because I just can't afford it, frankly. I am not Scar. Oh, but that does mean that these two builds will be touching. Maybe I drop everything even further back. That could look quite nice. It will also separate things from the bank a little bit. It does mean I'll now have to do the back of the bank, which I massively resent. I've just built it in the same space, haven't I? Oh, I've just built it in the same spot, but 2 blocks back. I worry for myself. This is much better. Glad I made the choice, even if it was painful. Are there any shroom lights in stock in the compound? There are. Just purple ones, but I think I can make purple work. I don't know if it's strictly legal, me shopping in the compound, but I don't think it was strictly legal them taking my iron shop. I still need to have words with Cub about that one. And at that moment, as if summoned, he actually logged in and arrived at my base.
You're advancing as a builder, Mumbo. This is great. This is great news.
Wait, I shouldn't be so positive. I shouldn't be laughing with you right now. Actually, sir, I've got a bone to pick with you because my iron shop was permanent and it was stocked and it's gone.
It is. The Po took it out. They took it away. It was a pop-up. Thank goodness it's gone. I've never been so happy to see a shop taken down.
I almost can't argue with it. Like, I was expecting some form of defense. It was called the permanent iron pile. It was part of the gold shop. Is that
It was
not
10 blocks, Mumbo. It was 10 blocks. 10 blocks of iron. I see you have a new shop, though, now. You built a bigger, better, bolder shop with, like, an elevator and
It
all
is.
sorts of sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you take that down, I'm leaving.
Oh, yeah. That's good. That's staying for sure. Yeah, we like to see shops like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, fine. That's so frustrating. You know, I had all these defenses planned, but I actually can't fight someone that just comes in like that and just says it how it is.
Mumbo, speaking of fighting, I've invented a game that I think you might enjoy. Okay, it involves potentially dying, me and you potentially dying.
Okay.
Here's the thing.
Yep.
Here's the thing. It's a game, so it's fun and like you wanna play. Well, the game is called Pig. Basically, how it works is we each get a mace, and then you can name it whatever you want.
Okay, I think I've got it.
Have you ever played the game of Pig in basketball? Have you ever played that? By any chance?
Sort of. Yeah, I mean, I used to play skate, and I think skate is fairly similar. Like, skate is in, like, at the skate park. I think they're fairly similar in the way they work, in that you get a letter for, I'm assuming, missing a shot. Would that be the way it would work in basketball?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So if your opponent makes a shot and you miss the shot, you get a letter.
Yeah, okay. That's,
So it's the same
same as skate.
premise here. I have a mangrove fence and a warped fence.
Okay,
I'll put inside there. And so I'm gonna be the warped fence.
okay, I'll be
You press the
mangrove.
button. You press the button and see who goes
Oh,
first.
yes! Mangrove, nice!
You got it.
It's
You
one.
got it.
Cool, okay. Would I be able to get a rough ballpark of how high up I need to be as someone who hasn't really used the mace at all? If I hit you from the top of this thing, for example, that probably wouldn't kill you, right?
I think it probably would actually. I actually have no idea, to be honest with you.
Ready?
Going left. I'm going left. I'm going left. Oh, not quite. Not quite.
Okay,
That
this
was
is
good,
harder
though.
than I expected. I was kind of expecting this to be absolutely breezy. What?
I'm coming for you.
Oh!
Ah, let's go.
I don't think this is gonna go well for me. I can feel it.
Oh, can you stand in this barrel, man?
Yeah, that's pretty hilarious.
I still have to hit this.
This
Oh,
is
there we
so
go.
sinister. You with my stupid face.
All right, you ready? You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Here we go.
Oh no! Oh
No,
yes!
I missed it. I missed it. I landed too soon. Darn it.
I
Okay.
was so certain.
Oh,
Oof.
wait.
Okay, I've realized this is actually a little bit. I looked at this initially and I was like, "This is easy." No, you've got to kind of thread
Oh
the
my
needle.
gosh.
You got to thread the needle through a few things.
All right, let me get into the. Okay, I'm in the barrel. In the composter.
Okay.
Oh,
All right, ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
3, 2, 1.
Oh,
Yes!
my
Oh.
shop was not a pop-up. Come on. Jeez.
I think somewhere like here. 3, 2, 1.
Ooh.
No!
Oh.
You dodged it perfectly.
Ooh. Oh, I missed. Oh.
This has got to be a dunk.
Here we go. Oh, he's trying to juke. He's trying to juke. Got him.
I thought what I was trying to do, I was trying to stay to like the back side, and then as you jump, try and run underneath, so that I'd like be behind you. But no, you got me good. 3, 2, 1.
What?
No!
Oh, dodged.
you moved in the last second. I was so solid on that. I was like, this is going. Thinking, okay, I think if I can go from up here, and I'm going to put some range on this.
This shot looks amazing, Mumbo. I have to say, this is definitely style points for sure.
Yeah, I've got the suit
man.
on. I feel like an assassin. All right, are we ready? 3,
We're ready. We're ready.
2, 1. No!
Oh, you're short.
I'm so bad at this. Oh, this looks so cool.
Oh.
That was perfect. Oh, I can't knock you there. That was absolutely spot on. That was really fun. I'm absolutely gutted that I didn't win, but also not surprised. So after facing crippling defeat and having my shop declared officially a pop-up, let's get back to my build. Now, what I'm thinking for this area up at the top here is we actually stick with the landscape a little bit and have power cables coming out and then running down into something like a transformer down here. It'll be hidden away behind the bank, so you won't really see it too much, but they'll plug directly into this wall. Do I make this wall slightly taller? Do I make it so that it matches up with this one over here? That makes more sense probably. So one cable will go in there. I think one cable can go in slightly lower, and then another one can go up here. Yeah, I think that will work. So then our build can be this big. I think that should look cool. I'm not sure how I feel about all this. I don't know if it's looking quite right, but I think I've come up with quite a cool idea, which is I want to connect all of them into one cable. So they're all going to run into one cable. I've already done it up at the top, and then I think this one here can just go into the back of this one. Is this completely stupid? I actually don't think it's completely stupid. And that saves us from having to have a massive structure down at the bottom here that is supposedly accepting all of these different wires. I'm also going to run something similar into the side of this, because we've already set the precedent that there's this is a power line or something important. So I guess if we then pop it out the ground over here as well, you would assume it kind of goes underneath. Bro, you've imprisoned yourself. Don't look at me like that. This is entirely you can get out. You can leave. Potentially stupid idea here, but I kind of like it. What if we had almost access panels down here that show that the cable is connecting out? Almost something like this. I'll think about it. So I've been quietly building away, and I've added a few extra bits. Firstly, I've added some colorization to our wires. I've extended our build downwards a little bit so it fits in better with the mountain. I think this looks good. And I think in terms of proportions, it just fits in really nicely with the other builds in the area. Things are going well. So now it's time to add in the redstone details, which I'm very excited for. Okay, for once, I really hope my iron shop has actually made some sales, because I forgot to bring any diamonds to the shopping district and I won't be able to pay for my copper. Yes, it's doing well. Also, oh no, it's doing well. Now, don't get me wrong, I am incredibly excited to be buying these bulbs, but I am considerably more excited because that is my 5th purchase. And that means that I get to get myself one of these little fellas. I get a little pet golem. I have no clue where I'm going to put this thing. Maybe Jill and Bob's Bits and Bobs. I feel like once I do the interior of Jill and Bob's Bits and Bobs, then that feels like the sort of trinket that they would have. Jill and Bill's. It's Jill and Bill's. Oh no, not again. Oh, that's frustrating. Oh, I'm 2 blocks short. Yes, I am going to have to wait for them to oxidize, but this is fine. I am very happy to have a bartering farm. It makes things like observers significantly less expensive than they otherwise would be. I actually need to check up on my diamond supplies because I have spent a ridiculous number of diamonds this episode. I mean, I spent 25 diamonds getting firework rockets, and I've almost entirely run out of them in this episode alone. I just keep flying off to check on the build. I've spent at least 3 or 4 diamond blocks on various different bits and bobs. I am in danger of running out of diamonds. Maybe I might actually have to start asking hermits to shop at my shops. Here goes. I'm placing my items in. Everything should be working properly, and we should start getting a nice sound. Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. Now I'm curious how it looks from back here, and it looks cool. It is subtle. That is exactly how I want it to be. Yes. Big smile on my face, combining redstone and building. Okay, this is very cool. Now, as I was looking at the build, I think this edge is a little bit too sharp. So I'm going to knock it back and see if I can replace it with something else. And while I'm doing that, I'm also going to add in the little crafter spirally animation things. And I've just remembered how frustrating this is to actually place. I think I remember. I think it's these ones. Yeah, these ones you place down like this. And then these ones need to be placed from dead straight on, I think. No? Alright, I think... Yes. Okay. There is probably nobody on the server who will actually take notice of these different animations, but I'm very happy they're here. I especially like this one. This is ridiculously satisfying, and it was accidental. It's just so cool. I'm getting towards the final stages now. I'm just adding a few bits and bobs to the roof of this thing, the standard vents, aerials. I'm swapping out some of the acacia trapdoors for copper ones. And now the build is finally done. After 3 days of diving into the details and really getting my head in gear as to what I want this laboratory to look like, I am super pleased with the end result. I think this has come together so well. This is probably one of the, I mean, I don't want to say one of my coolest builds, but I think this entire area taken as a whole, I think that's the way that I view it, is by far the best thing I've ever made in Minecraft when it comes to building. I'm going to give myself a little pat on the back for being able to transfer a building style that I used to do a lot back in the day, and move it into this kind of new era of Minecraft building for me. I just think everywhere that you look, there's something interesting going on. There's something for your eye to focus on. There's just a lot of life inside this build. It looks like a believable scientific laboratory. It definitely has some factory elements to it as well. This feels like it's almost like a middle ground between cutting edge science and also slightly bootleg, and that's kind of the point. And surprisingly, it just fits in really nicely with the rest of the builds. I love this. I love this. I forgot I even did this in this Hermitcraft episode. Yeah, I'm over the moon, really. I'm super curious. I'm just going to quickly pop back into Hermitcraft Season 6, so keep this image in our minds. Wow. Yeah, a lot has changed. Not saying that this is bad, it's just a different style. But, oh, yeah, a lot has changed. I actually want to wrap up this Mammoth Hermitcraft episode in a slightly strange way. I don't know if this is allowed, but I think I'm going to borrow the recording studio. God, this place is tight. That camera angle. Sorry, I'm just imagining. I'm imagining if the news was filmed from an angle this close. That would have to be such a wide-angle lens. Alright, I'm actually going to mimic this in post. Also, is your sound guy a zombie? Like, this is a terrible recording environment. Regardless, I'm going to try my best. I am currently in such a good place when it comes to making Hermitcraft episodes. I'm having so much fun, and the episodes that I'm making, I personally believe, are some of my best work I've ever made in general. Like, including filming projects and things that I'm super proud of. This body of work that I'm working on right now, I'm really, really enjoying, and I think it's the way that I'm approaching them. I'm kind of almost coming at it from the angle of like a musician or something like that, or like an artist or something, where I kind of walk into my office and then just go with what I'm inspired by on that day, which does mean that sometimes the episodes take me a long time because I'm kind of just fiddling about with the small stuff and just like really diving deep into the small details. But that is what I'm seriously finding so much enjoyment in. So I'll just kind of wander in and I'll be like, oh, do I want to work on concept art today? Do I want to work on graphic design today? Do I want to do some world building? Do I want to work on creative Minecraft builds? Do I want to goof around with my friends? Like, all of these are options to me, and I just go with where my intrinsic motivation takes me, and I'm having such a blast. And it's really nice to see that coming through in the comments. Lots of people seem to be really enjoying this phase of my episodes, and they've noticed the difference. And yeah, I just wanted to say I appreciate you. I appreciate the fact that all of you have afforded me this opportunity to work in this way. I definitely do not take it for granted. And yeah, I've wanted to say this for ages, but it always feels like a weird thing to put in a video. But you know, this is just so cool. Yeah, cool. Nice. It's getting dark now. I think we're losing our light. This is very representative of what a real film set is like. Cool. Okay. See ya. The season isn't ending, by the way. That makes it seem like I'm flying off into the sun. I know I'm flying off into the sunset, but no, there will be an episode soon.